High school sports fans, are you following Varsity Media on our YouTube channel? For the best coverage of New York high school sports, make sure you head to youtube.com/varsitymedia. 3 easy steps. First, hit that like button, and then be sure to subscribe. And finally, tap that yellow bell to be notified of all of our upcoming sportscasts. Thank you for following Varsity Media on YouTube. High school sports fans, Varsity Media Pass is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Playoffs. For semifinal and championship coverage of boys and girls lacrosse, softball, and baseball, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Varsity Media is the home for New York high school sports.
Opening week continues as 2 of the top teams on Long Island square off for a suppertime showdown as Half Hollow Hills and Port Washington take center stage here in Nassau County. From Paul D. Schreiber High School, Half Hollow Hills and Port Washington on the Varsity Media Sports Network. And we welcome you into the broadcast booth. He's Tom Rooney. I'm John Perez. And Tom, this is a Port Washington team that's losing 10 seniors from a year ago. It's a very young team, still looking for their identity.
Yeah, they have plenty of talent here. They have a big junior class that's really good. Amity, the McCarville brothers, Brendan Lang, guys that you'll see on offense. But it's their first go at the varsity level, their first time getting on the field, and sometimes it's going to take a little bit to kind of find that identity, but the talent is there, and they're kind of reloading a little bit here at Port after a couple of really good years. Yeah,
some tough competition for Port this season as they're coming off a 13-9 loss against Huntington the other day. Okay, so that's Port Washington. For Half Hollow Hills, this is a team that's got a ton of juniors, but they've got 3 years worth of experience. Now it's time for Half Hollow Hills to take the jump.
Right. A lot of juniors, but these aren't your regular juniors. You're talking about big-time players who've been varsity impact guys since they were freshmen. You have Anthony Rayo, one of the top middies on the island, going to Carolina. Jojo Filardi, a defenseman, going to Syracuse. Sal Santoro in the cage. Nico Chicas at the faceoff X. They are loaded with juniors, but again, not your normal juniors, and this is a class, this is a year that they think they can make a run at a title.
Yeah, and it's no secret that Anthony Rayo is one of the top players to watch. He and Jojo Filardi, the future Tar Heel and future Orange. What makes them so special? We'll start with Rayo.
Well, Rayo is a two-handed shooter. He's adept at shooting lefty as he is righty. He can play some attack. He can play midi. He'll really impact the middle of the field. Just an excellent overall midfielder. And Jojo Filardi is, one of those rare defensemen who can get out into the break and cause offense. I think he had something like 25 points last year between goals and assists. You will see him fly down the field. We know they're excellent athletes. We saw him on the football field in the fall. It'd be exciting to watch these guys run around here tonight.
And let's see the rest of those athletes as well. The starters for Half Hollow Hills. It's led by Zach Marco at the top. He's headed to Bryant Rayo, along with Luke Bradley, Ryan Chung, Ben Vogt, Sal Cayazzo, Jake Casper. A ton of talent here, and Nico Chicas almost automatic in the face-off.
Yeah, Nico has a lot of experience, right? And, getting these guys the ball is the key to the Hills' success.
Meanwhile, in net for Half Hollow Hills, it's going to be Sal Santoro looking to take the jump this year. Now goalie number 1, 96 saves a year ago, saved 48% of the shots, and he's so dynamic when it comes to between the pipes for Hills.
Yeah, Sal's got great hands, really, really quick hands. He's got a year of varsity experience under his belt. He's an excellent goalie. I think he'll have a big night here tonight.
So meanwhile, on the other side, Port Washington looking to pick up their first win of the year. And we'll take a look at their impact players as well. It's the Braunschweiger brothers, Joe and Steve.
Yeah, these are two guys that you would want on your high school team every year. They do it all. They are, great on the wing. They play D-midi, they play O-midi, they clear the ball. They're out there all the time. Just tremendous young men. I coach them in the summer, love coaching them. Great kids.
We mentioned it's pretty much a brand new Port Washington teams with a ton of juniors coming up. We'll meet their starters as well as the Vikings will be led by Will Amudi and the McCarville brothers and Steve Braunschweig. How about this? 2 sets of identical twins and 3 brothers overall. Harry Behan, Evan Friedman, Nick Noga, and of course, Griffin Marvin, the new face-off guy for Port Washington.
Yeah, so Griffin has a tough test tonight, right? He's a very good face-off kid. He's facing someone with a little more experience, so it'll be exciting to see how he matches up. And then you have Max Ion in the goal. Started last year as an 8th grader. He kind of took over the job, and now here he is as a freshman. He's a big body in the cage. He has that experience already, and he will be tested tonight with these Hills shooters.
Isaac Neal says he's known him since he was 13 years old. Spoiler is, that was only a couple of years ago. So for Port Washington and Hills, they're set to go, and we'll take a break with them as well. Coming up next on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
AJ Duff. Get out of the way! Dante Torres! End zone. Touchdown.
10-5 touchdown. Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media Pass is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Playoffs. For semifinal and championship coverage of boys and girls lacrosse, softball, and baseball, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Varsity Media is the home for New York high school sports.
Varsity Media offers live streaming services for any sport. With human beings behind the camera, you can expect the proper coverage angles during each game. We offer customizable options such as live scoreboard, multiple cameras, instant replay, graphics, and even announcers. Find out how you can save $100 off a live stream package with Varsity Media by calling 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Welcome you back to Nassau County, and the sun is setting, and it's coming right into your living room, and that'll be a factor all evening as Port Washington and Half Hollow Hills almost under the lights, but definitely in the sunshine here at Paul D. Schreiber High School. He's Tom Rooney. I'm John Perez, and if either one of these teams want to pick up their first win of the year, Tom, how are they going to get it done?
Well, for Hills, you got to get the ball to Rayo early, and he will create a lot of slides, create a lot of offense, and then he's got to trust the guys around him, which he normally does, guys like Bruno and Marco who can finish. And if you're Port, you got to win some faceoffs against Chicas, and you got to find a way to find your identity here on the offensive end.
Half Hollow Hills and Port Washington, these two coaches obviously have known each other for quite a while. In fact, they're former teammates at Hofstra, playing back in the early 2000s, or the aughts as they call it. Connor Hagans and Isaac Neal. In fact, it was Hagans who picked up Neal at the airport, and then they became best friends playing over at Hofstra. And, of course, the third member of that three-man crew, of course, is Julian Watts, the head coach over at Huntington. Those three forming a bond, playing for the Pride, and now coaching at Hills, Port Washington, and Huntington, respectively, as both teams get ready for the opening introductions and coin toss. And, you know, one interesting thing about Half Hollow Hills this year, and remember, for those of you just watching and not really sure, yes, there's Hills West, Hills East, these two combined. So that's why you just see Half Hollow Hills, even though they keep all the Hills West colors. It at least looks that way. They're trying to get past Northport, and Northport has been a beast in Class A over the last couple of years. But this is a Hills team that's pretty loaded, and they're loaded because they've got one of the best face-off guys in there, Nico Chicas, and Griffin Marvin will get the opening face-off as well. He was 70% from JV last year, and he's hoping to carry that over to the varsity level team.
Yeah, this would be a tough test. You know, you're opening up against one of the best. Marvin went a little early there.
And so Port Washington, here's Will Almoody, a goal and an assist against Huntington. The junior backed up Will Meyer last year, one of those 10 seniors that graduated from a year ago. Ball jarred loose, good hands by Sal Caiazzo, the sophomore. As he'll force the turnover, and Hills takes over.
Yeah, that's a great play by Chiazzo. Amity is one of those kids who can run all day. He's got good speed. He just got caught, you know, with the substitution game, and Chiazzo put a nice check on him.
Joe Filardi towards the center and then scoops up ahead.
You see right away Filardi hanging on offense. There is no rush to get him off the field, and he'll dodge. Right, he'll dodge with his long pole. You just don't see this that much. Nice job by the Port defense there.
Connor Hagan says he's not just one of the best athletes in the building, but one of the best that he's ever coached. And that's high praise considering the talent that they've had over the last couple of years. Here's Luke Bradley, 7 points a year ago. Now Zach Marco, the Bryant commit, shot in front, trickles wide. Battle for possession, and it stays with Hills. Or you would think it would, but Einone was there, and Max Einone winning possession for Port.
Yeah, Port dodged a bullet there. That's a great feed by Marco. Nice hustle by Max getting out of the cage there and winning a possession. You know, goalies can impact games in a lot of different ways, John, you know, in the clearing game and not just saving the ball, and there's a good example of it right there.
We'll get our first penalty of the evening as Moody was hit, and you know, Port can be selective. It's Tommy McCarville, had a goal against Huntington a couple days ago. 6 goals a year ago, rips a shot, and off wide. And so we see the long pole for Hills going towards the bench, and man advantage for Port for half a minute.
So Port right now, you know, circled up. My guess is the Braunschweigers are going to be key in this set. Got Amity behind, trying to find. There's Steven right there.
And there's Joe Braunschweiger. Off to the far side, Liam McCarville. Now Tommy McCarville, so both brothers accounted for as Tommy McCarville slings it. And Moody in front. And nothing doing as Joe Filardi tries to get out of it. Ball trickles loose, shot towards the net, skips wide. Brendan Lang staying with it. He had a hat trick against Huntington. Rips a shot wide, but it'll stay with Port.
Yeah, nice job on the ride there. Hill's super aggressive in the man down, which really kind of threw Port off, but you got to be able to get that ball up and out.
That's the one thing that Connor Hagan says that they've worked on a lot in the offseason was improving playing defense with a man down, and battle for possession. And a whistle, and it'll stay with the Vikings. A good hustle by Port early on to keep some opportunities in their barrel.
Yeah, so Hills was able to kill off the penalty. We're back to evens. So if you're Port, a little bit of a missed opportunity. You know, it'd be great to go up early with a young offense, but you maintain possession, and now you get a chance to run your 6-on-6 offense.
Joe Braunschweiger, 6 goals last season. Almost 3 minutes gone by, still scoreless. Here's a rip, Joe Braunschweiger, saved by Santoro.
Yeah, nice job by Tommy McCarville drawing the defense and Santoro up to the task.
Someone who learned from Jacob Shapiro a few years ago and now as the starter looking to take his game to the next level. He had 96 saves a year ago. Flag is out, shot bouncer, and trickles all the way out towards the midfield. See if Port can pick it up. And they finally do. Tommy McCarville's there.
Yeah, that's a big pickup because now you got a free play here. You get a chance to score and get an N1. I think we're going to get a slash. Nice skip pass.
Shot rolls wide. And from X, there's Joe Braunschweiger, who seems to be everywhere in the early portion of this game. Amity up top. Steve Braunschweiger scores! His second goal of the season, and the Vikings strike first. 1-0 Port at home.
Yeah, that really started for me when Tommy McCarville ran down the loose ball to keep the possession alive. And you're going to see this just good ball movement here. And Braunschweiger, steps in there, and Steven could really let it go. And that's just a great shot. Great shot into the bottom corner on Santoro from the middle of the cage. So now you got a man-up face-off for Port. The trick here will be having Griff Marvin here try to figure out Nico Chicas.
Well, we mentioned 70% at JV last year and just trying to pick up the speed at the varsity level. And, hey, welcome to the big leagues, especially going against Chicas. Who wins the face-off? Joe Filardi on the offensive side of the field. Second time that we've seen that. Eyeing towards the net. Save, Einone. He robbed him point blank. Keep the shutout intact.
Yeah, Filardi dodging a pole. And Ion with just a great save as he tried to go high to high.
Intercepted. Here's Anthony Rea. Watch out. Rips a shot. Save, Einone. The rebound floats wide, just high of the cage. Half Hollow Hills knocking on the door. That was Zach Marco off the ricochet. And how about Einone playing well beyond his years in the first quarter, Tom?
Yeah, that's two really big saves against the two guys we highlighted in the beginning. Back-to-back, Filardi and Rayo. Nice job by Max Ion. And, let's see if that kind of lights this Port team on fire here a little bit as they get a big lift in spots where they gave up, good shots but didn't give up goals.
Joe Braunschweiger stings it. Both Braunschweigers accounted for. This time it's Joe. 2-0 Vikings.
Ion gets a big save on the one side. We get a good clear by Port. Ball gets spun around, and there's Joe Braunschweiger with a classic overhand high to low, and he just hammers the corner. And Port, this is the kind of start that Port needed, right? We talked about building an identity. Right now the identity is hustle plays, make saves, and get the ball to the Braunschweigers early.
So Chicas and Griffin again, Griffin Marvin. And another whistle against the Vikings, so Chicas and Hills takes over. Luke Bradley called a workhorse by Connor Hagans, galloping down the field.
Yeah, this would really be our first settled look now on 6-on-6 offense for Hills. You see right away that they're pushing out on Rayo, not quite locking him off, but just making it really hard for him to get the ball. And that's Harry Behan on him. Good feed inside.
Swung up top, here's Rayo. Rayo, you said by Behan, and now that's Daniel Chung, and set of brothers now for Hills as Daniel Chung, the younger brother of Ryan Chung, who had a fantastic year last year. Daniel wearing 4, Ryan wearing 32. But this is number 6, James Bruno. Skips a shot, kick save, Bruno. Long fight for possession in the long pole for Nick Noga. Picks it up.
Yeah, another big save for Max Ion. Nick Noga, great hustle. This is a great start for Port.
Isaac Neal said Nick Noga came into this season the best shape of his life. Low shot, and there's Santoro stopping Joe Braunschweiger.
Here's Rayo in the open field. This is trouble if you're Port.
Flips, shot, deflected, and goes wide. Not sure if Ion got a piece of that. It didn't look like the cleanest of looks for Rayo, but he'll stay with Hills. Here's Zach Marco. Marco 1v1 with Steve Braunschweiger. How about this matchup?
Yeah, and the Braunschweigers are on the field. It's not a typical offensive midi. They're all over the place. Steven is an excellent D midi.
There's the young guy, Dan Chung, over the crossbar. Out of play. And Port possession.
That's just another hustle play by Port. Really good job by Evan Friedman there, running it out.
Well, the identity for Port so far has been our goalie's going to make great saves and we're going to out-hustle you. Andrew Sarkeesian gets it across midfield, and Hill's able to scoop it up and force a turnover. Filardi, long pass up ahead. Rayo slips it, low shot, and a goal. Behind the net as Hills able to get on the board. And that's Luke Bradley. They check that. James Bruno. First goal of the game for Hills.
Yeah, the last time they had a 3-on-2, Rayo wound up and shot it. And I think he knew he probably had numbers. And this time makes the right play, draws the defender, gets it to Bruno, who finishes. I'll tell you, the pace of the game here, both teams go out and pressure. Both teams go after you, throwing checks. Good action start here. Here we got Filardi again dodging.
Filardi slings it. Low shot and another save. I know, and he's been a brick wall.
It's not often the LSM is leading the team in shots, but I think Filardi is right now.
Well, and so Tom, as a coach, is that something that you want? Do you think Hagen's just has the trust in Filardi? What do you think of that so far?
Yeah, I think that, probably before this game is over, Filardi will get at least one, maybe two. That's just how they play. They let JoJo go, and, he's getting good shots. That was an excellent save by Ion, read it all the way. Not always easy to read the ball coming out of a long pole stick, but he did a really nice job.
Back the other way, low shot trickles in, Will Amudi. He picks up the goal, his second of the year, 3-1 Vikings.
John, I was just about to say, it looks like Hills has dropped in a zone, and Will just goes right between the two defenders there. That, weird spot in the zone, is it my guy or your guy? And steps in and, gets himself a nice shot, gets his hands free.
Amity with a strong shot. Isaac Neal says we're expecting big things from him this season. And a pair of goals through the first two games. Still 3 quarters left after this one, and we're not even close to being done in the first quarter here, as it's Marvin and Chicas again.
Let's go, Gavin.
So we'll fight for possession. And who wants it more? And ball towards the Port Washington bench. And Hills takes over.
Yeah, it looked like Marvin might have won that faceoff, and Hills was able to muck it up a little bit, and then JoJo with a late check to get possession. If you're Hills right now, you kind of have to settle in. You probably didn't think, that Port was going to kind of blitz you early. The reality is you've gotten some good shots. Ion's made some really good saves, so you just kind of stay with your game plan. Trust that some of these shots will go in.
Anthony Rayo straight away. Slings it, quick hitter, goal. Hills with a beauty. James Bruno again, his second of the game, and that makes it 3-2.
This is actually an awesome play by Anthony Rayo. He understands that he's going to get attention, and you watch him here. The Port defenders just start walking out to him. He comes off that pick. There's 3 guys staring at him, and he knows that means that somebody's open on the backside, and the beneficiary is Bruno. Does a nice job of finishing away from the goalie. That's a really mature play by Anthony Rayo. You know, this could be a year where he has way more assists than goals.
And the one thing that Connor Hagen says that he's seen in the preseason has just been his improved decision-making, and says that that's what's going to separate him this year. And it's that adaptability that can really show how far that Hills can go this year. Timeout taken by Port Washington.
Hills.
By Hills. That's their first timeout charged. And, you know, we talk so much about Hills and how they combine programs over the last couple of years. And, Tom, this is a team that, while it's only still in its infancy, some really good seasons so far.
Yeah. You know, I coached at Half Hollow Hills West back in the day, and we used to go up against Half Hollow Hills East, and it was a great matchup. And we always said, like, if they put these 2 schools together, what a team we'd have. And this is really what they get. And, you know, the community, you kind of have 2 high schools behind them, and the community is really bought into this. And you can see them, they're kind of building, right? 11-6 to 13-4. They're right on the cusp. They can kind of sense it when we talk to Coach, you know, Connor Hagen. They know they have a really good team, so it's going to be a fun year for Half Hollow Hills.
And Hills just hoping that they don't face Northport so early in the playoffs. That's been their kryptonite so far. But listen, they've got the talent to do so. It's now just a matter of putting their pedal to the metal and taking that next step. And Hagen says that he's got the personnel to do so.
Yeah, you can see it early. Obviously, you know, they're built right up the middle, right? They're really solid in the goal. They got a number 1 defender. They got an excellent face-off guy, and they got a couple of really bona fide scorers. But like you said, you know, you want to put yourself in a position where the seeding, you don't run into Northport too early. And then you kind of have to see what happens. But they're certainly built to win.
Connor Hagen's the head coach, Paul Benway and Cole Montalvo rounding out the coaching staff for Hills. Trailing 3-2 with 2:47 to go in the first quarter. And what do you think the message was that Hagens was portraying to his team?
I think it was just relax. You know, when you guys are running offense now, you're getting great looks. These shots will go, kind of thing. And probably telling Rayo, trust your teammates, keep that mindset going, that mentality. And he's probably looking for some of these other guys to make some good decisions here.
James Bruno with a couple of assists, a couple of goals for Hills. Rayo with an assist. As both Braunschweigers have scored, and Will Amity. Up top, Ryan Chung ties it. Chung had 10 goals a year ago. It's his first of the season, and we're all knotted up at 3 with 2.5 to play in the first.
Yeah, sometimes you come out of a timeout and we say, wow, the coach threw up a great play. This is one of those, the ball got kind of thrown away. Rayo tracks it down. And again, Rayo beats his defender, draws a slide, and he's mature enough. And you know, a really unselfish player finds Chung, who gets a nice shot to tie this game up.
Chung, you could make a case, was the unsung hero last year, or at times the MVP for what he was able to do. And that's because Nico Chicas missed almost a month with a wrist injury, so Chung had to step in, be the face-off guy. He was at 55%, fantastic, and still a good midi for a Hills team that won 13 games and now just looking to take the next step this season.
Yeah, I mean, what a luxury to have that if Chicas does need a breather, you're bringing in a guy who's an excellent face-off guy as well, has done it at the varsity level. But obviously we see he's an all-around midi. And we see Hills just kind of goes after you here on defense. They love this kind of pressure. They want the ball on the ground. They want saves. They trust their goalie, and then they're going to get out and run.
So Hills fighting back. We'll see how Port responds. Steve Braunschweiger. Amity. Ball loose. And here comes Hills. As that's Jesse Brooks, the D-midi. Swiped away. Good job by Joe Braunschweiger. And a whistle. And a timeout taken by Port Washington. So we saw what was brewing for Half Hollow Hills over the last couple of years. This is what Port Washington has done. over the last few years as well. 12 wins a year ago, losing to eventual Long Island champion Farmingdale. But either way, you've got a county championship in 2022. This is a team that's always knocking on the door.
Yeah, this is another high school I coached back in the day, and they love lacrosse in this town. It's a great community, and they kind of went up that ladder. They had a great year in 2022 with Henry Haberman and Luke Meyer and Matt Freeman, just a really, really special group of seniors and juniors mixed there. And then last year had a great run. They ran into a really talented Farmingdale team, and now we know this is what happens sometimes. You have to sort of get that next group together, and this junior class is really strong, supported by the seniors and Braunschweigers. So it's it's time to figure out what the 24 version is going to be of Port.
And there's Isaac Neal in his 8th season, former Hofstra Pride. Matt Carroll, Jerome Bettis, and Chris Schultz rounding out his coaching staff. 3 county titles for Port Washington in their history. His first coming in 2022. That was their first since 1995. Still looking for that first Long Island championship.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see now when they come out of this timeout. They start the ball with Tommy McCarville. Usually plays like this are, who do we want to get the ball to? So, who's going to be the offensive guy that is the focal point for Port? And it looks like Hills might have dropped into a little bit of a zone here just to kind of throw him off.
Tommy McCarville over to Joe Braunschweiger. Velarde picks him up, shot wide. Right for the loose ball. And it's awarded to Hills. Port thought they had it. A good hustle by Hills.
Yeah, now we see Sal Santoro stealing a possession for Hills, getting out of the cage. Those little things matter in high school lacrosse. You need every possession. You don't want to give away, chances. And that's a nice job by Sal hustling. Because that's really all it is, right? Is a little anticipation and a little bit of hustle.
Here's Chris Nolan, first year on the varsity, a sophomore, wearing number 40 in black. And there's the well-known Anthony Rayo. Trying to slip it in front. Ian got a piece of it and then gobbled it up.
Yeah, nice job by Ion being aware that he really wasn't in a shooting spot, so he could step out of the cage and pick off the pass.
Evan Friedman up ahead to Andrew Sarkeesian, the senior. Takes a tumble. Nolan, a whack at it. Stays with Sarkeesian and Port. Steve Braunschweiger. Bouncing shot with the clock winding down, and that does it. 1 quarter in the books. We're tied at 3. Half Hollow Hills and Port Washington. As it's been a fun one so far. As Hills starting to come back. And how about a little Ryan Chung to tie it up at 3. Second quarter coming up next on the Varsity Media Sports Network. You're watching Varsity Media, New York's high school sports network.
Hey sports fans, did you know Varsity Media live stream broadcasts get viewed by college coaches nationwide? Through our announcers' storytelling and insight on your athletes, we can help your players get an edge on college recruiting. Find out how by reaching out to Varsity Media today, 516-403-2050, or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Feel like your game film is too stagnant and not providing you with the insight that your coaches had hoped for? Varsity Media offers game film to help your coaches develop a game plan to execute on game day. Our current clients love the Varsity Media difference, which includes more insightful camera angles and a speedy upload process. Start building your championship team today with award-winning individuals at Varsity Media. Welcome you back for the start of the second quarter. Half Hollow Hills and Port Washington tied at 3. He's Tom Rooney. I'm John Perez. You take a look into that Port Washington huddle, and one of the big themes this year was what Port Washington is going to get out of their junior class and their identity. So far, we've seen a lot of the offense go through the Braunschweiger brothers, but defensively they're playing well, and their keeper, Max Ion, keeping them in the contest.
Yeah, Ion's been great so far. He's been tested early. He's been tested by Filardi. He's been tested by Rayo, right? And he's really answered the bell. The shots that Hills are getting are excellent shots. So, good job by him. And the Hills offense is, quite frankly, a very formidable offense. So he's going to be, continue to be tested. The Port offense is still trying to figure itself out. I love the way the Braunschweigers were really aggressive early.
First face-off of the second quarter, and Nico Chicas speeds it up front, and Gavin Neville picks up the ground ball. Port Washington got off to a hot start. Steven and Joe Braunschweiger scoring back-to-back in less than a minute apart. Will Amity, the other goal scorer for Port. James Bruno with a pair, and Ryan Chung with a third.
We got a call there. I think it might have been offsides. I'm not sure. Or an interference. Something happened behind the play.
Seems to have sorted itself out now. And here's Jesse Brooks. The D-Midi had a goal last year. Slips up ahead to Ryan Chung. Back check by Jimmy Rather. And here's Zach Marco. Marco from X. Dashes outside, and good defense so far by Rather.
Yeah, Port's Harry Pehan is pushing out a lot on Rayo right now. They're making it really difficult for him to get the ball. Nice play by Noga.
Noga across midfield, overshoots his target. His ball rolls out of play, and Hills will take over.
Yeah, nice takeaway by Noga. Just forced it a little bit, trying to get the ball over there to Liam McCarville.
Neil, very complimentary of Noga this week, and saying that he's just got really good instincts as well. And going to trust him against some of the top defenders in not just non-league matchups, but whoever Port is playing this year, especially with the schedule that they have. Whistle and a timeout as it's taken by Hills. Well, we mentioned all the talent that Hills has on their roster. We've got some college commits, too, as well. And, I mean, hey, some of the best, not just on Long Island, but soon to be in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you're getting recruited by schools like this, you're a big-time talent. And, this is that right up the middle kind of, what we were talking about earlier, how they're built. I think the only senior on that group is Marco, right? So, they got a really good class here. They got a really good group of kids. And, when you have a defender, a face-off guy, and an offensive player going to the likes of Syracuse, Air Force, and Carolina, you're in good shape.
When it comes to Nico Jikis' case, Connor Hagens has been getting on him about his conditioning because he says, hey, if you're going to be in the Air Force, they're going to have you running day in and day out. Don't think just because you're in the air, you're not going to have to be well-conditioned. So he has to get his cardio in.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, he does a lot on the field, right? Chicas, he's excellent. And, they got a little trouble getting the ball in the box there. But, in a 3-3 game, I like the idea of taking a timeout and settling your team because they have run good offense. They just need to continue to run good offense. I thought Port did a really nice job of pressuring the ball. And this half lock that they're doing on Rayo seems to be giving them a little bit of trouble. But you don't see this a lot, John, right? Coming out of an offensive timeout, they have JoJo Filardi on the field with his long pole. That's how much they trust him.
Yeah, 25 points a year ago and verbally committed to Syracuse to play lacrosse. Just picked up an offer from Stony Brook in football. Iron with the save. And Hills a new possession. There's Noga again. How about the aggressiveness of Noga, even though it's going to stay with Hills? But a huge hit from behind on Marco.
Yeah, Noga's having a nice start here. He's always around the ball, throwing good checks. And here's a tough spot for Gannon, the short stick. You don't know whether to wave at the stick. JoJo's so fast.
Bruno. Or check that. Rayo slips in front. Ground ball picked up. Hills looking to push in front as Luke Bradley spins it up top. Chung dodging, flopping. After the big hit, ball still loose. And Hills has it.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday in our game. Anytime the ball goes on the ground, it's an opportunity for that team that picks it up. A little sloppy there, but you know, Hills is able to find the ground ball.
Jimmy Gannon gets the assignment on Filardi. And it's Chung again. Ryan Chung to Rayo. Skips over the crossbar. And Zach Marco, who was hanging out at X, restarts it with 8.5 to play in the second.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good matchup so far, Noga and Marco.
Slips inside, and he puts Hills in front. Zach Marco, the future Bryant Bulldog, 18 goals a year ago, 4-3 Hills.
Yeah, and Marco picks up the ball on the end line and gets a pick. He's able to set it up well and run right off the pick. You get help, but what he does is he rolls inside, right, as they're overplaying his left hand, and just no help there. No shot for Ion as he's on the doorstep.
Zach Marco really came on the scene last year against Longwood. Came in off the bench, scored 2 goals, the game winner, and has just soared to new heights since then, says his head coach, Connor Hagans.
Yeah, very good athlete. He's got great feet. You know, sometimes you just need the confidence, and he certainly has that.
And Tom, I mean, how gratifying is it as a coach when you see a player that you know is very talented, but when they're able to put it together and now they've become that player that you've always envisioned?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you want, right? You want somebody to, you know, grow, right, and mature on your watch and, you know, under your tutelage, and that's exactly what's happened with Zach Marco.
Sal Caiazzo, whistle. And a turnover. Well, 3 unanswered goals by Hills as Port looks for the equalizer. First time that they're trailing in this game.
Well, yeah, it's his family member.
So we got the first midfield out here, McCarville, Braunschweiger, and Braunschweiger. Brendan Lang is inside. He's only had 1 shot, but he had 3 the other day at Huntington. He's a really good finisher in there. But I think you're going to see Port attack the short sticks of Hills with either McCarville or Braunschweiger.
Steve Braunschweiger and Joe Filardi. There's Joe Braunschweiger over to Will Amity. Checked by Sal Caiazzo.
Caiazzo's done a nice job. He is super, super aggressive.
Still looking for the ground ball. And there's Filardi, old reliable.
Yeah, nice job by Filardi getting that knockdown on the pass.
Here's Luke Bradley. 2-sport athlete, plays football. A majority of this team also on the football team and having one of the best years in Hills West history.
Yeah, JoJo Filardi threw for like 5,000 yards or some outrageous number. I mean, they were video game numbers.
They scored 70 points in a game in 4 quarters.
Yeah, what did he have, 10 touchdowns?
Pretty much, yeah.
I didn't even do that in like backyard football.
Rayo slings it high.
Yeah, you can see the game plan here for Hills. When Rayo gets the ball, they're going to try to set a bunch of picks and try to free him up. That's really the first one we've seen in a 6-on-6 where he's got his hands free, just deflected wide.
Bradley off to the left. Noga in a race and wins it for Port.
Great run out by Noga. good anticipation, and that's another, that's a defensive stop. Just stole another possession away from Hills.
And that's got to be part of the game plan, too, especially no shot clock. You've got some of the best offensive players on Long Island on that other side for the offense, and you want to keep them on this side of the field.
Absolutely.
Brendan Lang. Slipped in front. Amity denied. Rebound never got to Santoro. And then a turnover. If it was a crease violation or...
Yeah, it looked like Steven Braunschweiger fell into crease. What a save by Santoro right on the doorstep. Great sneak. Not sure if that was Liam McCarville or Lang, but sneaking around from X, and Santoro was there to shut the door.
Here's Zach Marco. Charging inside, loses the ball. And coming the other way is Jacob Apet. One of those big club guys. Ball trickles wide to the left. And Santoro will chase it down as he was in a foot race with his own guy, Jake Casamento.
Yeah, really nice play by Apat there. Getting out on the break, finds Lang. And Santoro with another save and the run out to steal a possession.
Well, now the sun finally nestled behind the buildings all the way down the street. And finally we were able to see the field. And you have to wonder how much that affected some of the players on cross-field passes.
Yeah, now we got a real night game here.
Here's Ryan Chung. Connor Hagan says he's a rare breed. His personality matches his play, and flag is out. And so here's Zach Marco. And Port able to pick it up afterwards, and a penalty upcoming.
So this is going to be our first look at the Hills man up, and if you haven't got a chance to see Anthony Rayo step down and shoot, it's fun to watch, and you're probably going to get a good opportunity right here. Again, they leave Jojo Filardi on the man up. That's how talented he is with the long pole. I watched these guys play in Winter League. They're pretty slick. They move the ball good, and you have multiple options between Marco and Bruno and Rayo. So this is a good man-up group.
Well, here's Rayo. On to Ryan Chung, far side. That was Bradley, and Chung play catch. Luke Bradley.
Well, they're locking Rayo right now, which has thrown the Hills play off a little bit, so they're trying to get organized now.
Yeah, Rayo not even close to the play. Here's Filardi.
Good skip.
Opens it up and capitalizes. Hills able to sting it inside as Luke Bradley lights it up, and Hills leads at 5-3.
Well, I said they had to get organized. They almost threw the ball away early, didn't realize Rayo was locked, but Filardi does a nice job of finding the open man in the 5-on-4, and Bradley just hammers it. That's the risk. I understand doing it. You know, Rayo is such a great step-down shooter. The risk is now you're bringing only 4 defenders in front of your cage against 5 offensive players, and Hills makes him pay.
Nico Chicas. Eyeing the net. Chicas.
What a save.
Eye on again.
Great face-off, handles the pressure, but Ion read it all the way. Really nice job.
And not easy to stop Chicas either. The Air Force commit with a scintillating shot as Port trying to get one back. And a whistle and a timeout taken by Port. We'll take it with them as well. 2:46 to go in the second on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media offers live streaming services for any sport. With human beings behind the camera, you can expect the proper coverage angles during each game. We offer customizable options such as live scoreboard, multiple cameras, instant replay, graphics, and even announcers. Find out how you can save $100 off a live stream package with Varsity Media by calling 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
When it comes to advertising, are you hitting the right audience? Why waste your time with television or a free print publication that's given out at a local deli? Varsity Media has your back. With a following of over 50,000 and a local demographic ranging between the ages of 18 and 54 years old, it's time to get that return on investment. Plus, here's the best part. Your ad lives forever on our YouTube page. And with a large on-demand audience, it's a grand slam to advertise with Varsity Media. 2:46 to play in the second quarter. Half Hollow Hills with a 5-3 lead over Port Washington. He's Tom Rooney. I'm John Perez, and we'll have a ton of lacrosse on the Varsity Media Sports Network this spring, and we've got a couple of good ones tomorrow night. Syosset taking on Southside at 6 o'clock, and then Manhasset taking on Cold Spring Harbor. I mean, there's no better place to be than Rockville Center or Cold Spring Harbor on a Friday night. We'll see a ton of those teams this year. How about West Islip and Bayport Blue Point? And then, of course, Massapequa on the schedule as well. You don't want to miss it. It's a power conference in Nassau County, and we'll be all over it on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Yeah, that's a great group of games right there. And that's just the beginning, as Dylan Butler reminded me yesterday. Back here at Port calls a timeout in their own end. They're going to have to clear the ball, something that is, always an adventure in high school lacrosse.
I like the diplomatic coach speak that you say with that.
Well, you always draw things
Yeah.
up, and it doesn't seem to always work out that way.
I feel like that's got to be the most in-game frustrating thing as a coach, because you're always going to get kids that will forget a sneaker or forget a piece of equipment or whatever have you, but in-game after a timeout, I think the lack of execution on a play might be at another level. But Port's able to get it across, and a good job by Tommy McCarville. There's Will Amity. Picked up by Caiazzo. Amity to Steve Braunschweiger. 1v1. Good dodge. Skips it. Save Santoro. Long rebound. Liam McCarville's doubled. Ball pops out. Jay Casamento's there. Looking for the clear.
Well, I love the clear by McCarville. It kind of juiced up Port. They got a good shot, but here's, good opportunity right there.
Yeah, skipped off the stick of Chung, and Noga there again. Make the case that Noga's been the best defensive player so far in this half.
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's done a nice job on ground balls. He's defended well and, had a couple run-outs and things like that. Done a nice job.
Back the other way. Jacob Apat. Steve Braunschweiger. Braunschweiger scoring the second Port goal of the game. That made it 2-0. Since then, Hills has outscored them 5-1, including 4 straight by Hills. Apat. Swimming inside and then jars it to X.
Yeah, this game's getting a little bit more physical as these guys get more familiar with each other.
Tom, what do you want to see out of Port in this final 70 seconds here?
I'd like to see them just get a good offensive possession and right now it seems like I'm not sure there's a rhythm on their offense. They don't quite have the go-to guy yet, so I'd like to see, who wants the ball at the end of a quarter, at the end of a half, and turnover right there by Filardi caused the turnover, and we got numbers the other way.
Yeah, this is Jay Casamento. .34 seconds to go in the opening half. Hills can be selective, and here's Luke Bradley.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Rayo here Going to the cage.
Rayo,
Look.
named team captain yesterday, spinning inside. Hills lost the ball. That was Luke Bradley. 14 seconds to go, and we'll see if Port can put one on the board. 10 seconds. Joe Braunschweiger with 6 seconds. Rifles a shot and scores! With 1.3 seconds to go, Port gets one back off the acrobatic finish by Joe Braunschweiger.
Well, I said I was looking for somebody who wanted the ball at the end of a quarter, and, you know, Joe Braunschweiger is the guy. I love the way he realizes he has time. He comes back to his strong hand, and that's a great shot to the back pipe. Port did a really good job there at the end of that quarter. Noga picks up the ground ball. They're patient, they're composed, move the ball up the field. Gannon, the D-Midi, up the field to Braunschweiger for a goal. That's a big goal right there to close this gap to one goal.
And changes the mood going into halftime, too, for Port.
Absolutely. It's a juice goal.
Chicas with the face-off. And time expires, but Port gets one back. It's been a fun first half. Half Hollow Hills with a 5-4 lead over Port. And you gotta love a buzzer beater. Joe Braunschweiger, his second goal of the contest. It's 5-4 at the half on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Inside the 10 to the end zone.
Oh, he's got a wide open receiver. AJ Duff. Get out of the way! Dante Torres! End zone. Touchdown.
10-5 touchdown.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media Pass is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Playoffs. For semifinal and championship coverage of boys and girls lacrosse, softball, and baseball, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Varsity Media is the home for New York high school sports.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
Hey sports fans, did you know Varsity Media live stream broadcasts get viewed by college coaches nationwide? Through our announcers' storytelling and insight on your athletes, we can help your players get an edge on college recruiting. Find out how by reaching out to Varsity Media today, 516-403-2050, or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Looking to grow your business on social media? Let Varsity Media help you. With over 50,000 followers across our platform, sponsor a segment during the broadcast and share it on social media the next day. It's the best of both worlds, as you'll get thousands of plays and your ad will live on the broadcast forever. Contact us today for sponsorship packages by calling 917-470-0864 or emailing varsitymediasponsors@gmail.com. Did you just have the best athletic year of your life? And now you want to show it off to college coaches? Well, let Varsity Media help you. Varsity Media's college recruiting videos show off your unique skills to help you land a spot on the team of your dream school. We'll provide music, spot shadow effects, and a link to send to your next coach. Contact us today for more information. Don't rely on word of mouth or cold emails. Let Varsity Media help you take your game to the next level. Feel like your game film is too stagnant and not providing you with the insight that your coaches had hoped for? Varsity Media offers game film to help your coaches develop a game plan to execute on game day. Our current clients love the Varsity Media difference, which includes more insightful camera angles and a speedy upload process. Start building your championship team today with award-winning individuals at Varsity Media.
High school sports fans, are you following Varsity Media on our YouTube channel? For the best coverage of New York high school sports, make sure you head to youtube.com/Varsity Media. 3 easy steps. First, hit that like button, and then be sure to subscribe. And finally, tap that yellow bell to be notified of all of our upcoming sportscasts. Thank you for following Varsity Media on YouTube.
Welcome you back. Almost the start of the third quarter here at Paul D. Schreiber High School. Half Hollow Hills with a 5-4 lead over Port Washington. And what an electrifying finish to the second quarter, Tom Rooney, as Joe Braunschweiger showing off his speed and beating the buzzer. And that is good for the Speed Island speedy play of the game. Joe Braunschweiger going coast to coast as he beats South Santoro for the finish. Speed Island, located in Garden City. Contact Onyx Salva today and book a lesson by going to www.speedislandny.com. Gotta love a buzzer beater. Gotta love when some of your best players are also your fastest players on the field.
Yeah, Braunschweiger showed great composure, great speed. Kind of outran the Hills Middies there, and made this a 1-goal game. In a half that Port goes up 3-1, then is struggling on offense, and Hills finally finds their offense. That's a big goal to bring this back to almost even to start the second half.
Now just a picture-perfect sunset as we get ready for the start of the third quarter. As there it is. Check that out, Tom. Sun was in our eyes and almost blinded us for the first hour of this game, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty out there right now, and it's a great setting here in the pit at Port with the lights on. Got a good crowd out here, braving the weather. It's a fun night.
I was going to say, it's fun to be at the field, but if you're out or if you want to come to one of these games in March, bring a blanket or whatever you can. Toe warmers, you get hooked up with everything. Quick tic-tac-toe as that skips wide. Sal Caiazzo with the shot. As Hills at 1 point, 4 unanswered goals before Joe Braunschweiger made it 5-4. Joe Braunschweiger with a couple of goals. His brother Steve, the first goal of the contest. James Bruno, Ryan Chung, Zach Marco, and Luke Bradley, the scorers for Half Hollow Hills, as Bruno has 2.
Yeah, Ion with another big save and all that, action right there. There was a quick feed in front. Ion makes the save. And that's a big save, so not letting Hills answer right away to start the second half. And then whoever picked that ball up for Hills was hard to see in the corner, got caught for withholding it, and, Port ball.
Well, if one of the concerns for Port Washington is what's going to be their identity this season, part of Hills' identity last year was they would have scoreless stretches, and that would obviously leave the door open for other talented teams in Class A, and that's something that they want to shore up this year. And even though it's a non-league game, you still want to come out firing for the start of the second half.
Yeah, and a little bit of a sloppy start on both sides here. Hills struggling to clear the ball. Noga with another loose ball. He really has been excellent. And this is a good way to clear it, get the ball to our Speedy Island play of the game guy, Joe Braunschweiger.
Braunschweiger 2 goals against Huntington and 16 goals a season ago. Looking to take that next step, and Isaac Neal says that Joe and Steve Braunschweiger, they're 2 guys that you have to drag off the field. They never get tired, and they're good assets to have.
Yeah, they literally play all over the place. They have great motors, just great energy, great teammates. You know, I said in the beginning, every high school coach would love to have them. They're those kind of kids. When you have guys like the Braunschweigers, you have winning players.
Here's Joe, a rip wide. As McCarville hanging out behind the net. And we'll stay with Port, under 10 minutes to play in the third.
So I think if you're Port, you got to find some offense besides the Braunschweigers. It could be Liam McCarville here. It could be Tommy McCarville there. But you got to find just a couple other guys that are going to be able to bring you, some offense. Because Hills will start the key, and you can see it a little bit at the end of the second quarter, keying on the Braunschweigers. So someone else needs to step up here.
Will Amity with a goal today. Sal Caiazzo draws the assignment. Ball gets across midfield, and ball still loose. Steve Braunschweiger couldn't handle it, and Chris Nolan picks up the ground ball. Nolan, first year on the team, called up to the varsity this year, and now gives it to Anthony Rayo. Rayo has not scored a goal yet. He has an assist.
Yeah, his impact on the game has been really solid. I get the feeling that he will get off at some point, but right now he's let the game kind of come to him a little bit. Obviously drawing a lot of attention. You can see the Port guys just sliding every time he has the ball. Nice knockdown there by Behan.
Shot tucks in wide, and we'll stay with Hills.
Yeah, I like that idea, going to set a pick for him. He's talented, but he doesn't need to always do it by himself. Go put a short stick pick for him and let him have a little help there.
Behind the cage, and now in front. Shot bounces high, and there's another tough shot taken by Zach Marco. Ryan Chung. Good job by Port to rotate over and pick up the assignments. They haven't given open shots yet, as I known. I'm sure if he got a piece of it, but ball comes all the way out, and Port looks to clear. And who else? Nick Noga scoots it up ahead.
Yeah, I think that hit the pipe. I'm not sure if Ion got a piece of it, and then Noga with another loose ball that he gathered up. I think, Marco turned the corner there, had a good look, and wasn't able to finish. I think Ion might be getting in the heads a little bit. He's played really well in the cage. You kind of have to hit a really good spot in order to beat him, and I think they're thinking about shooting in their spots a little bit. And it's allowing Port to hang around here.
It's Port Washington the other way. Now up top, it's Jacob Apat. On the reverse side, and now Hills the other way. Here's Zach Marco. In third gear, Marco drives and scores! He'll show off the wheels as well as Marco puts it in the back of the net. His second goal of the game, 6-4 Hills.
Yeah, I called Marco a senior before in one of the other spots, so Zach, I apologize. You still got young legs, and you're showing them off right here. It's a really nice job by Hills, picking the ball off the ground, off the turnover, and then Marco takes off. Excellent athlete, little dip with his head, and just hammers the ball low. That's not easy to do with, on a full run. Talented kid.
You know what it is, Tom? Everyone on Hills has been together forever. And so you think they're older than they actually are.
That's right. Thank you.
But looking to make a statement their junior year, bring home some hardware, and what it would mean to that community, and of course the two schools, Hills West and Hills East, and obviously coming together and trying to capture their first ever county championship in LIC. Timeout taken as Connor Hagans calls timeout. And for Hills, they're going to have a gauntlet of a schedule themselves after today. Take on Kellenberg, Middle Country, Bayshore, and then we'll have on the Varsity Media Sports Network against Smithtown East, but some pretty good talent in there, and of course, Connecticut, Longwood, Sachem East. Not so easy in Suffolk County.
No, everybody in Suffolk is a sort of big physical, team that tests you every time you're out, and Kellenberg traditionally has a good, strong squad. So, Hills will definitely be tested, and that Smithtown East game is probably a big league game for them. Smithtown East has been a traditional power out in Suffolk County A.
Yeah, we'll have them in the middle of April. See Nico Chicas talking to the officials. And we mentioned Chicas and the impact that he has as a face-off guy. One of the interesting things about these county champions over the last couple of years is when you've got a good face-off guy, it's no surprise that you'll win. But take a look at these percentages of these Class A titles. And Port Washington at 24% and everyone else north of 60%. So what goes into it when you don't have that face-off guy? How does it change your team as a whole?
Well, then you got to be really good at a whole bunch of other stuff, right? You got to ride really well. You got to be really efficient on offense. You got to find a way to cause turnovers to get that many more possessions. And that Port offense that year was just excellent, and they were able to overcome not as many possessions and be effective.
Yeah, they won 13 games, 8-1 in league play, and just fantastic as Chung rips it high. And to stay with Hills.
Yeah, good feed by Rayo, and Chung just over the crossbar. This has been a fun matchup all night, Marco and Noga.
Well, and Marco wins the battle. Zach Marco again, the junior. Give him the hat trick, 7-4 Hills.
Yeah, early in the game, Marco was dodging off the end line, by himself. This time again, they went back to setting a pick, and he does a really good job of just handling the contact by the slide, inside roll, and then another finish right in front of the cage.
Connor Hagan says he could beat you in so many ways off the dodge, like we saw, shooting rate, sky high. And just one of the many talented juniors on this Hills team. There's Nico Chicas. Off to Chung, and he'll slow it down. Now another look at Joe Filardi with the long ball on the offensive side of the field. Tommy McCarville picks him up. Chung. Shot deflected. Now Marco with Noga. And the long pole of Noga wins it.
That's Noga's third run out that he's stolen a possession. And in a game that, Port has struggled a little bit offensively and keeps hanging around, you don't want to keep giving them possessions.
Has 7 ground balls as well, and it's just been efficient defensively.
So if you're Port now, you got your number one midfield group out there. You're down a few goals. This is an opportunity here. You got to run, your best offensive set. You got to get into some offense and create some good looks for your top guys, probably the Braunschweigers or possibly Lang inside. But you got to run good offense. You do not want to see this lead get to, 4 or 5 with Chicas at the faceoff X, because you're not going to get the ball back a lot off of faceoffs.
High pass towards the midfield. There's Noga. He crossed that line in possession for Hills. Well, what has Hills done defensively that's made it tough for Port so far?
Yeah, I think they've been super aggressive with Kayaza and Filardi and Vogt and Casamento. These guys are really, really good, really aggressive. They've done a really good job of just pressuring them and not letting them get comfortable and run their offense. And another turnover for Hills in the corner there. The Port defense has played very well. They're kind of keeping them around between Ion's saves and them causing turnovers and getting runouts.
And so now it's Jimmy Gannon who gets it across, and Steve Braunschweiger off the pass from Tommy McCarville. Filardi whacking at it.
It's a good clear, and Steven handles the pressure. But you don't see Port getting real comfortable in their offense right now as we watch them kind of, just kind of try to free their hands. That's Chiazza out, pressuring, does a really good job. Now you got Filardi out. We see a lot of offense towards the top of the box and outside the box. That's not where you want to be. Somebody's got to break down a defender here and beat a guy.
Steve Braunschweiger, and you're right, they just continue with each pass to drift more towards the 35 and 40-yard line. And, Connor Hagan says that any shot outside of 13 yards, he'll put his money on his goalkeeper. And I think for Port, you want to try and draw up some plays and drive inside.
Yeah, now, they look to be in a little bit of a zone here, Hills, which has probably thrown off Port a little bit on this possession. But, these are the kind of things you got to figure out on the fly when you're down 3 goals. You got to, make it happen. There's really no difference. You still got to beat a man in a zone. You got to find an open, seam. Good job handling the pressure right there.
Jump shot and a goal. Liam McCarville. Second goal of the season, and the vocal leader sticks it, and that makes it 7-5.
Yeah, we just got done talking about the pressure, and Liam McCarville does a really good job here of just swimming past his defender, and there's no real help here, and he gets his shoulders turned and right to the back pipe. That's textbook up the hash shooting right there by Liam McCarville. And we said it, they haven't been great offensively, but here we are in a 2-goal game.
Chicas to Filardi. 2:40 and rolling in the third. Filardi swims out of it. Ryan Chung, bingo!
Filardi, you don't often have to slide to a long pole who's handling the ball in the offensive end, but Filardi dodges, and here comes the Port slide. He handles the slide and finds the open man. That is really good offense by an LSM. And this time, Chung does not miss high, right? This time he just hammers the ball into that bottom corner, and it's a great answer by Hills after giving up a goal, and we're back to a 3-goal lead.
For Chung, that's his second goal of the game, coming 19 seconds apart. And here's Ryan Chung again, looking for the hat trick. Chung drives inside, he's got it!
So this starts with Chung just absolutely, and I think it comes from facing off, right? Understanding how that ball got pinched out by Chicas. He's on it really early. Watch this ball scoot out, and Chung doesn't hesitate. He runs right through it, runs right through the check, and then here's the Anthony Rayo effect. They don't want to slide off the point, so they hold on the break, and it allows Chung to come right down the middle. When you're a great player, you can impact the game in different ways. Rayo didn't force it and come running to the ball. He actually starts dropping and getting wide, knowing they're not going to slide off him, giving Chung that lane.
Connor Hagan said this week, if you don't play him square, he'll beat you. Well, that's what he's doing for Port right now. There's no go with the ground ball, and the Vikings look for a response. Harry Behan up ahead. Skips out of the stick of Joe Braunschweiger. Iozzo fighting for position. Behan loses it. Filardi.
Filardi with a little over the head check there. this game has opened up.
So Caiazzo off to Filardi, and Connor Hagan says that there was a different mood coming into this offseason and coming into this 24 campaign, and he said, I'm not sure how much of that had to do with the football success, but everyone is just bought in. And that's what you'd expect when you've got 3-year returning starters. Now, usually it's a senior class, but he's got the benefit of having a bunch of juniors, and it's just been inspiring for him as a coach.
Yeah, these kids know how close they are to being just really, really good. Oh, what a...
Chung, are you kidding me? Daniel Chung. That might be the goal of the game. We got to see that again. Daniel Chung, only a freshman.
From his knees, I think, right here.
Wait for it to start. It's cooking up. Talk about a one-timer. Chung through the 5-hole. And his first career goal. And, of course, you'll get some love from the coaching staff.
Yeah, Coach Higgins can press him all the way up. That's a great job by the young man.
I asked Coach Higgins the difference between Ryan and Daniel, and he said that, of course, Ryan Chung's been around forever. He's shown his personality, and that Daniel Chung is a quiet assassin. He hasn't really shown his personality. But, Tom, when you score a goal like that, I mean, he's got a smile that can light up a room.
Yeah, and another young guy on this Hills team. What a nice, piece that you can add in, having a freshman come in and, have hands like that. I mean, that's fantastic. Port, by the way, went to the long pole. They went to Noga on the face-off, and, why not? Noga's been fantastic today. And, they had a chance at that face-off.
Big hit Filardi, but a turnover. Final 16 seconds to go in the third. As Hills is outscored Fort Washington 5-1, led by a couple of goals by Ryan Chung, Daniel Chung, and Zach Marco had a pair. 2 seconds and 1 as the horn goes off, and we go off to the fourth quarter as Half Hollow Hills is opening it up, and big-time goals coming by the Chung brothers. How about this one more time? Air Daniel Chung with a goal. 10-5 Hills going to the fourth on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Hey sports fans, did you know Varsity Media live stream broadcasts get viewed by college coaches nationwide? Through our announcers' storytelling and insight on your athletes, we can help your players get an edge on college recruiting. Find out how by reaching out to Varsity Media today, 516-403-2050, or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. The sun is setting here, and what a gorgeous sunset here at Paul D. Schreiber High School. But it is the road team, Half Hollow Hills, with a 10-5 lead over Port Washington. And, Tom, what did you see out of Half Hollow Hills that conceded a late goal that made it 5-4 at the half, but then they came out guns blazing in the third?
Yeah, I think you got a little bit of Zach Marco, getting his mojo going. Anthony Rayo continuing to have an impact in just different ways. And then the guys that you're going to need beside, you always highlight a couple guys, but the Chung brothers, coming out and obviously you had the younger Chung with a diving Superman air Chung goal. But those guys did a really nice job of really capitalizing on their opportunities and scoring goals for Hills.
Still hot. Nico Chicas has just been automatic for Half Hollow Hills today, and here's Joe Filardi. Still looking for his first goal, as Tom Rooney predicted earlier, and saying that he's got the potential to put a few in the back of the net.
Yeah, come on, JoJo, help me out. He does have an assist, so that he gets in the scorebook. But yeah, I'd like to see a goal if he gets an opportunity again. And if you're Port right now, 5 goals is, in high school lacrosse, as we know, John, is not, a huge lead. Strange things happen, but you got to figure this out.
Well, Hills has figured it out. So is Luke Bradley. 11-5 Half Hollow Hills on the road.
Port has done a great job all night of communicating off picks, and this time they don't, and you get a late trail, and Bradley does a really good job of just turning it up and getting down the middle of the cage, towards the cage, I should say. A lot of young guys kind of continue to sweep, and they're running away from the cage. He turns the corner and goes right at the cage, and it just changes everything for a goalie when someone's coming right at you. It's really hard to predict where the ball's going to go. So nice job by Bradley.
Second goal of the game for Bradley. His first was an EMO, and now the face-off again. And Nico Chicas scoops it up. Nick Noga taking the face-off for Port Washington. Tapped up ahead. Tommy McCarville and Filardi. Filardi picks up the ground ball. Slips inside, and you can really feel the momentum shifting for Hills, Tom.
Yeah, this is, Filardi's really good at those kind of situations, just finding ground balls. McCarville with great hustle, gets the knockdown, but, Filardi again with that long pole, just able to find it and settle it and handle checks. It's such a luxury to have when you have a guy out there who can defend like him, but also can do all the other little things, like off the ground and in the clearing game and, for him in the offensive game.
Here's Anthony Rayo. Rayo nice drops it off. One-timer score. Luke Bradley is eating. Half Hollow Hills, another hat trick. Rayo the assist. Bradley is third of the game. And a dozen for Hills.
You see Rayo here just really determined, just eating checks, understanding that now there's 3 guys around him. When we paused it, you'd see 3 guys, and there's got to be a guy open. He knows that, and he finds them. Listen, this is what Rayo's going to get, now that he's a junior, right? I mean, he's been around forever. Everyone knows that he's the guy. So if he continues to do that, you're going to see Bradley and Chung and Marco and these guys score a ton of goals, and Rayo's going to have a ton of assists.
Jimmy Rather picks up the ground ball and then loses it. Ball still skirted ahead, and see if Port can get an answer back, but there's Filardi again. And Tom, if I were to tell you this morning that Half Hollow Hills would score 12 goals with still 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Anthony Rayo hasn't found the back of the net, you'd probably think I'm crazy.
Yeah, that is surprising. What's not surprising is his impact on the game, and you mentioned Filardi. We highlighted him and Rayo at the beginning, and they've had a huge impact in this game.
In front, and another one.
Is that Bruno?
That is Mr. James Bruno. As he scores a goal, that's his third of the game. 3 hat tricks for Half Hollow Hills, and it's all breaking right for the team from Suffolk.
Yeah, Port just a little out of sorts here and not matched up. And nice job by Bradley finding Bruno, who is a really good finisher inside there. And Hills right now is feeling it. They got it rolling. And, early on I thought, little nerves and they didn't shoot the ball well. But now you can see what this offense is capable of.
And I think it just shows all the seasoning that they've had too, right, over the last few years, and that they're never really out of it, and they could change it at the drop of a hat.
Right. We sensed there was no panic in this Hills team when they were, probably not playing as well as they wanted to play. They just relax and, they pressure the ball. They know they got guys like, Rayo and this kid, Marco, who runs, and, they're going to create offense. It's, when you've played this much varsity lacrosse, you understand that games go on different momentum runs, and, they handled it well.
Here's Rayo. Show off the handles. Drops it off, slings in front. Eye on the save. Push from behind and a whistle. There's Ben Vogt. And here's Liam McCarville. McCarville thought about stepping into one. Lang took his eye off the ball. And there's Sal Santoro. Santoro looking for help, a whistle. And so possession for Port.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice job by Liam McCarville, getting under his defender, drawing the slide. Like you said, he threw, the one more to Lang, who just, I think, was already thinking about how he had to finish. But if you're Port here, this is still early. We talked about them figuring themselves out. This fourth quarter is about trying to find your identity, trying to find, a little rhythm on offense. A guy like this, Jacob Apad, who's got talent. How are we going to get these guys, going? Because it's about the next bunch of games here. It's not about this game.
Yeah, we'll get a look at Port's schedule at the next timeout, but they've just got a gauntlet, and they're going to face Northport after today. So you start off with 3 of the top teams in Suffolk County in Huntington Hills, and then Northport. And then, of course, a ton of power conference schools as well on your schedule.
Yeah, credit for them for, scheduling those guys and trying to get themselves ready for the Nassau Power Conference.
Backing down, ball loose. And
got a hold.
Yeah, so that'll go against the man they call Red, Sal Caiazzo.
Yeah, he's played a really nice game for Hills today. All the polls, we mentioned Joe Filardi a lot, but Casamento and Vogt and Chiazza have really, really played well. And along with, Santoro in the cage, 5 goals in high school is really hard to keep a team to 5 goals. And Sal's kind of the general back there. He makes, he's made every save he's supposed to make tonight.
Under the wickets of Ben Christoferatos. He's only an 8th grader, smart athlete, and a heads-up attackman wearing number 41 in white. It's an interesting rule at Port in that they're not allowed to have 8th graders on the JV, but you could call them on the varsity squad. So that's why Ian was on the team last year, and now Christoferatos, another 8th grader, called up to the big squad. Bouncing shot, and there's the goal. Zach Marco stings it, and Marco turning this into a laugher. That's his 4th goal of the game.
Yeah, we laughed about his, having young legs. He's only a junior. He just attacks. That unsettled situation is such a great time for a midi to attack a defender. There is no slide. They don't really know which way to push him. And Marco does a great job of running right at his defender, a little shake, and then he gets up on his toes to hammer a ball. It sounds weird because, they have 14 on the scoreboard. But Ion really has played well in this game. This run now is just, a little bit of a shooting gallery for Hills.
Steve Braunschweiger picks up the ground ball after Noga lost his helmet. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for Port Washington, and unfortunately they're just going through it right now, Tom. But you can see the talents there. They're still young, and I don't know, if you were a betting man, you'd have to think, come a month from now, this is a completely different Port team.
Right. These early games sometimes are what you need in order to figure yourself out, right? You need to figure out, what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, maybe even some personnel, how to slide guys in and out. And, they're growing pains. We talked about them having to sort of reinvent themselves, and they were starting a lot of first-year varsity guys. And, success on the JV and things like that is not always that easy to translate into success on the varsity.
Nice save by Sal Santoro. On the shot by Steve Braunschweiger. 6.5 to play in the fourth. And there's Ryan Chung.
Yeah, Ryan Chung's done a really nice job today. Another guy who's all over the field.
Yeah, Chung, Marco, Bradley, each with a hat trick. Marco leading the way with 4 goals. Although, of course, they were all upstaged by the freshman, Daniel Chung, for the highlight reel play of the game.
Yeah, the diving goal is always going to get you on the highlight reel, that's for sure.
Here's Rayo looking for his first. Save Ion. As he went low to low, and Ion was there to meet him. Evan Friedman, the LSM, with the ground ball and clears up ahead. Liam McCarville. And now Steve Braunschweiger.
Yeah, that was a great save by Ion. Rayo, we saw that, ability to shoot with both hands. And he goes low to low, and Ion's there, and that's not an easy save, and he does a nice job on it.
Christopher in front, and there's Santoro again, shutting the door on Liam McCarville.
Santoro has very quietly just been excellent.
Connor Hagan says a good communicator. Biggest growth that he's had as a player was from last offseason to now. And has really turned that position into his own. Here's Rayo.
I wanted to just mention Jesse Brooks. He cleared that ball. He's had a really solid night. Another junior on this team. Really a workhorse, with all the guys with a lot of flash. A kid like Jesse Brooks is somebody that can really help a team, right?
Yeah, pretty strong, good hands, good D-midi, you're right. It just shows the potential that Hills has had over the last couple of years and now finally coming into their own.
The physical growth, that comes when you're a high school young man from sophomore year to junior year and things like that is always big. And then the confidence, when you're a young player, you're still trying to figure out the varsity speed and things like that. And, they are now this really older, polished group of juniors. Oh, almost had a backhanded goal there by Flaherty. So, you're seeing these guys, they really feel like a group of seniors, right? But, they'll have they're going to be tested. That's a tough conference, and obviously Northport is, Northport is the king until somebody unseats them.
Yeah, this year they'll play Northport on May 8th, the last game of the regular season. And, of course, it'll be a fun one to watch and could be a little bit of an appetizer for the first of possibly 2 matchups.
Yeah, and I'm sure both coaches would tell us, that's so far away, right? Like there's just so much to do in the meantime, so much time to get better and work on their game. John Jojo just dropped one in front. Is he going to get me a goal? No.
Not that time, as Ryan Chung trying to create and keep possession alive with 3 minutes to play in the fourth. Clear up ahead. Harry Behan lost his stick. And here's Jojo Filardi. Ball squirts free. And there's Friedman. Perhaps a pole goal for Friedman. Instead, dishes off. Good spin, McCarville. And drops it wide right. Christopher keeps possession for Port.
Yeah, and Christopher did a nice job here tonight as an 8th grader jumping in against, a really good team. We haven't said his name too much, but he's really handled the pressure well. Good feed right there.
Steve to Joe Braunschweiger. Thomas Keneally. Keneally, another 8th grader and one of those gritty midfielders that was called up the varsity squad. And now we got a player down on the far side for Half Hollow Hills. Trying to identify who it is.
Yeah, it's tough to see the number. You hate to see that late in a game like this.
Number 3.
And so while Hagens takes a look at Jesse Brooks, let's take a look at Port Washington's upcoming schedule, because it's going to be a gauntlet this year for Port Washington, and they'll play at Southside coming up next week as well. But you see Massapequa, Christian Brothers Academy, Cold Spring Harbor. Not easy for the Vikings.
No, and the Southside game is a varsity media game. Southside is one of those teams that has just a massive senior class. Coach DiPietro over there with his son and a whole group of kids that have been with him really since PAL, and they got a really strong team, but basically everybody on this schedule is a strong team. So, Port has some really good pieces here. I think Noga has played excellent tonight. I think Ion in the cage has been excellent. The Braunschweigers we know are really good players. So it's a matter of, just figuring a few things out here. And, listen, the Power Conference is great. You get a lot of games. But when you get to the playoffs, you go back to Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D. So they'll get a chance to go into the playoffs and face the teams they've traditionally faced in the playoffs.
Jesse Brooks has gotten up, which is good to see, but he's going to need some help coming off the field. And well wishes to him, and hopefully he'll be good to go for the next game. As he comes off the field, played a good game today. Junior, very athletic, and we just not sure exactly what it was.
Yeah. I mean, we had just mentioned him. I mean, he was involved in so many clears and just defensive plays throughout the game. I wanted to mention his name before, and I didn't see what happened either. Let's hope this is, something that it will allow him to get back on the field very quickly.
Final 2 minutes to play in regulation, and now both teams just want to get into the locker room unscathed and all in one piece.
Yeah, and if you're Port right now, it'd be great to just run some really good offense and get a good look and leave this game with some positivity.
Steve to Joe Braunschweiger, and now Thomas Keneally. McCarville. And now final 90 seconds to go in the fourth. Well, either way, what a performance by Half Hollow Hills. So obviously, the biggest thing that sticks out is the 14 goals, but how about just the 5 goals that they surrendered? Their defense seemed to be in lockstep today, Tom.
Yeah, this defense is very athletic. Knowing they have a really talented goalie allows them to go out and pressure, and it just kind of threw Port off its game a little bit and its rhythm offensively. They're really good at the X. These are the things we talked about in the opening, John, and it really came to fruition. When you win faceoffs and you're really good in the goal and you have athletic, defense, it's trouble.
And there's Santoro, makes the save, clears it ahead to Filardi. And now Filardi and some window dressing time for Hills. In front again, it's Marco. It's his game. He's got 5 goals as Half Hollow Hills leads it 15-5 late in the fourth.
Yep. Jojo Filardi out on the break. I feel like we've been saying this all night. so talented with this long pole. And then unselfish, realizing, of course, I predicted he'd get a goal. I'm sure he wants a goal, but just makes the right lacrosse play. And Marco's the recipient of a really good pass, and Marco's not going to miss from there. He's, super talented.
Marco, the Bryant commit. 5 goals today. And what'll be Half Hollow Hills' first win of the season. And the final 20 seconds to play.
That was great.
Jacob Apat.
I'm going to go to
Up ahead, Steve Braunschweiger. Got poured off to a good start. Scored the first goal of the contest. He and Joe gave the Vikings a 2-0 lead, but since then it was all Half Hollow Hills. And final 5 seconds. And just one more clear for Santoro. He doesn't even have to move it as Half Hollow Hills picks up their first win of the season, knocking off Port Washington 15-5. 3 players score a hat trick or more, led by Zach Marco's 5 goals, as Half Hollow Hills wins it on the road.
That's a great performance by Half Hollow Hills, and what a way to start your season. You come in with a lot of expectations, and you answer the bell. This is not a bad Port team by any stretch. They're tough and they're athletic, and Hills really showed that they can handle that type of team. This bodes well for Team Hills.
Sal Santoro saying adios to the doubters as Half Hollow Hills with a statement victory on their first game of the season. Port Washington, they fall to 0-2. Second game that they've given up 13 or more goals. They'll face Northport over the weekend before facing Southside. That'll be on the Varsity Media Sports Network. But that'll do it. Some fun lacrosse here today for our entire crew. Ben Turchin, our executive producer. Chris Sweeney, the technical director. Sam Schmitz and Ron Pierre, braving the elements and giving you the moving images. For my partner, Tom Rooney, this is John Perez saying so long from Paul D. Schreiber High School. This has been a presentation of Long Island Lacrosse on your home for New York high school sports, the Varsity Media Sports Network.